Hartford, Connecticut, Alphonse is the creator of Hartford's Heads Held High, the largest teen talent competition in Connecticut, which has been ongoing annually for over 7 years. In 1996, Alphonse was selected as the Hartford Current Citizen of the Year. He is also a volunteer at 89.9 WQTQ FM radio station. His life commitment is to African people and to participate in the work necessary to improve the conditions in which Africans live. Tonight, his task is to channel the inspiration from the ancestors into meaningful words destined to inspire you. Let's welcome Alphonse McGriff III.
I'd like to first give honor to the Creator, to the ancestors, to the elders, and also to the beautiful African women. This first piece, I would like you to feel me and listen carefully, and I think you can get a lot out of it. And as I read, you'll understand why I hold this money in my hand. The first piece is called The First Commandment. And for those of you who may not have them memorized, the first commandment is, "You shall have no other gods before me." You said you paid all your bills and don't have a clue, while the landlord said your rent is still due. Well, let's see exactly who it is you look up to. He was an angel before meeting you is the first clue. Disguised as dead presidents is how he hooks you. Now, these angels, these presidents weren't heroes to rant and rave for. They were kidnappers, murderers, rapists, and thieves our ancestors slaved from the cradle to the grave for. With made-over features and enhanced faces and heads, as long as we follow their lead just like them, we'll soon be dead. But our people have allowed them to become our master, from the pastor to the players to the pimps to the pushers, especially the pastors. That's right, the preacher, supposed to be God's teacher and outreacher, has become the black community's #1 leecher, because he sees these green European enemies as his best friends, while he pretends to defend the word. Then he flees with these same enemies to the suburbs. It disturbs me how I see such love and loyalty coming from the inner city church community, and in return they get burned by empty words, not coming from the good book, but from a good crook who's more concerned with buying clothes than saving souls. From what I see, to a major degree, his true pleasure is acquiring these worldly treasures for the church, or is it the congregation? Or pardon me, is it the corporation? And as life passes us by, we're told to wait on heaven in the sky, while the preacher's wealth on earth continues to multiply and multiply and multiply. So to earn his living, we're put in the spirit of giving as the choir sings louder and louder words so beautiful and inspiring. And though God may hear it, he's not the one living large off that 10%, because not a dime of that money has he spent, not from the building fund or the tithes or the visiting speaker's fee set aside. Now, I'm not saying I'm qualified to decide how best to divide this loot, but shoot, it makes me wonder deep down inside why I'm seeing $1,000 suits and luxury rides and people are struggling just to pay their tithes. And it's funny how the congregation tries to hide with pride the fact that they're barely making it, and are aware when their ministers are faking it. Yet they're allowed to keep taking it, the money, because they have a big stake in it, this game called religion. What's more amazing is how we forget it, but we all know who said it. You shall have no other gods before me. And indeed, it's these green European enemies we pray for, work night and day for, fight for, violate rights for, gamble all night for, cry for, lie for, live and die for, cheat, steal, beat, and kill for, raise hell, go to jail, and make bail for. And when we finally receive it, these green European enemies, it's hard to believe it, but we commit our worst crime and waste no time handing it right back to the fallen angel, whose likeness has a larger head but is still dead. How could you possibly think it's for God you've been living when it's to the devil himself your life you've been living? And you ask why you paid all your bills and don't have a clue why the landlord said the rent is still due. Well, when the true landlord God has been paid with a commitment to a spiritual foundation, then and only then will our short stay on this planet become an extended, creator-recommended, rent-free vacation. First commandment. And the second piece is simply entitled, An Open-Minded Shout Out to All the Good White People. You are not to blame, but just the same, your money-hungry capitalist counterparts constantly change the rules to the game. They control it, they shape and mold it, package and fold it, then hold it for the next generation of good, liberal, sympathizing, silent supporters of white supremacy. And though we know you'll never address it because you have forever tried to suppress it, but to this very day you still protect the pilfered goods your celebrated, hero-indoctrinated, slave-owning ancestors stole, including our men, women, children, land, language, math, music, science, history. And you continue to bathe in this false American hypocrisy called the Great Melting Pot while pretending you don't see it boiling over. I would be a fool if I thought for a minute that white folks were in it to be fair. To put it quite simply, I really don't care, nor do I give a damn about this racist white man. So for you, the good white people, the ones who in black communities commandeer so much clout, the ones even black folks cheer so much about, yes, the good ones I hear so much about, it would appear to me that your lack of action against racism makes you an accomplice, a co-conspirator, an accessory to the enemy, a threat to me and my community, as you indeed proceed to quietly encourage the courageless with his plan to destroy and attack the black, the beautiful, the first, the original, the ancient African man and woman. However, our third eye will one day open our consciousness to a foundation of spirituality that will embrace the African belief that if I hurt or you hurt, then we all hurt. And finally, as we were mentally, physically, and spiritually connected to the universe in the beginning, we will be in the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Alphonse. Now, all right, I'm a spoken word artist myself, like many of the artists many of the poets that come in here. And I have to let you know that one of the things with poetry and with poets, whenever we up here performing, it's energy. We giving our energy and we giving out our inspiration, and it's good when we feel that same thing coming back to us. So if you're feeling it, give it back, because we giving, so give it back, all right? It's all energy, okay? And remember, that energy is the ability to do work, and we up here doing some good work. Wouldn't you agree? All right, so give it back. All right, now, I'm going to bring up Brother Kale. This magnificent young man is a graduate of Medgar Evers College. In 1998, he took his place among other talented poets as the New York Poets Cafe Grand Slam champion. The voice of this powerful orator has been heard in some of New York's most prominent cafes, including Brooklyn Moon, the Tea Party, and the New Yorker, to name a few. He was a featured performer at the historical Black College Expo, as well as at Sister Betty Shabazz Memorial held at Medgar Evers College. KO is a knockout performer, guaranteed to have you wanting more. His voice is like a bell of hope. His words are like sparks of lightning. Listen, learn, and burn with passion, because long after he stops speaking, the words will still echo inside the sanctum sanctorium of your mind. Let's welcome Brother KO.
How's everybody doing? I'm fine, thank you. Can you tell me how to move a mountain? Can you tell me how to move a mountain? I can show you how to move a mountain.
'Cause I can move mountains. I said I can move mountains. Seeds were implanted in me down under the soil of Christianity, still scented in the mind are animalistic views. I've been amused by those fools who choose to try to control why only heritage has my soul, academically designed to incline to find as a problem, but it's all in the mind. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. The earth gave birth, now has rotted. Plans of a better nation we have plotted, but gluttons push the wrong buttons, causing explosions, mass erosions in the earth's surface. They have the nerve to get nervous. How dare you say that all men are created equal when poverty, welfare regulates my people. My people, my people, it's time to move mountains. We have nothing to lose. We just stand on the highest plane and yell, mountain move. But brothers, oh grudges, 'cause the mountain never budges. And idleness comes large, and motivation is mentally discharged. The aggravation inside me lingers, 'cause all my people know how to do is point fingers. Instead of blaming selves, we blame others. How can we point fingers amongst brothers? I hear swearing, I hear cursing, when the real blame is third person, but they say you. They say you. They say you. It has to be you. It can't be I. It must be you. It's you. Why not we? Don't you see? Why not us? We made it unjust. Can somebody tell me how to move a mountain? My people run deep like water flowing from an endless fountain. Don't you understand that we have nothing to lose? We just stand on the highest plane and yell, yo, mountain move.
But leaders don't show faces.
Afraid to take their places in the populace. How can you be so bold to give benefits to the old when I have been treated cold before and after? I was 400 years old, and sexism does exist. But can I make a list of all my black sisters that had to raise their black fists? My people have been criticized, mutilated, brutalized. How can you speak of sexism and ageism when racism is institutionalized? My people, it's time to move mountains. Just nudge them out your path. All lanes, objectives, and goals shall soon be in your grasp. Just follow me. I'll lead the way. Who am I, you might say? Who am I? Who am I? I push hills aside and tall landscapes I devour. I think critically, analytically, plus politically I have power. I can pull clouds out the sky. I can move mountains by the bulk. I swallowed Mount Fuji in one gulp, beat Mount Kenya to a pulp. I grinded the Rockies till it tasted like syrup, leaped over the Appalachians towards my travels into Europe. Mercy, mercy, even as we speak. You know they're crying mercy upon communism peak, even when I sneeze. The cool breeze across seas can bring the Alps to my knees and still stop off in Vienna to taste the chocolate and cheese. There is no peace in Greece, for the gods are at a halt. I capsized Mount Olympus and wrestled Zeus for his lightning bolt. My people cried victory, but I have more in store. For I go back to the United States and chisel my face in Mount Rushmore. And as I leave South Dakota, I want all my people to follow. For I travel to the motherland to beat drums on Kilimanjaro. I passed by the pyramids, but I left them alone. There are no geometrical equation, because it said black owned. My people cried victory, victory. I see no victory today, for Mount Everest still stands to be my finest prey. And so I climbed Mr. Everest and I look him eye to eye and said, no longer would your head remain above the clouds in the sky. I came down and told my people Mount Everest must fall, one half in Tibet, the other half in Nepal. My people just laughed and others seemed uncertain. And again in time of struggle and action they questioned my person. I said maybe they don't know who I am. Who am I and what I can do? Who am I and what I can do? Who am I and what I can do? I can goggle bodies of water by the gallons and cases, spit them in desert spaces to form an oasis. I can make the leaning tower of Pisa stand firm and tall, make the Statue of Liberty have a very bad fall. Yes, I am black and a black man's epitome. I can kick Sicily off the boot of Italy. All mountains shall shake from the power that I create. People in California would swear it was an earthquake. So please, Mr. Everest, let me spare you today. I said mountain, move out of my way.
It's just my imagination running away with me.
If I were to dream, well, let me dream you a tale. Traveling the 7 seas with treasures to unveil. I am a ship captain upon oceans I sail, conquering all oppressors and successors. Dare not do I fail. If I were to dream, well, let me dream you a chance to shatter glass ceilings, make my people advance. Why, I am a king, I hold life in my hands. I have power in my crown and wealth in my pants. If I were to dream, well, let me travel the endless skies, passing from cloud to cloud every time I blink my eyes. Why, I am a pilot, why do you look so surprised? I have knowledge of aviation, can cause objects to rise. Rise, rise, I have dreams to remember. And if I share my dreams with you, how could I find the words to tell my people if they try? You can fly like the birds. You might say, how could this be? I close my eyes so that I can see. Or is it my imagination running away with me? I have achieved because of will, some say because of luck. I can make oceans stand still and volcanoes erupt. I dream past the present, gave my people mind and presence, taught my children all their lessons, brought them back to their essence. We have to control our thoughts that are seen and unseen, oh my people. My people, we have to learn how to dream. When failure wanted me, nightmares haunted me, I learned how to dream undauntedly. For more that I feel, it's so hard to reveal how fairy tales and novels can become real. I visited Anne of Green Gables, been through Aesop's fables. I fought with King Arthur and sat at round tables. Open your mind as thoughts seem to unravel, for now I'm intertwined within Gulliver's travels. Curiosity, give thought patterns velocity, as I possibly travel on another odyssey. I enter John Steinbeck's world where I heard of the pearl, but I couldn't tell the difference between men and mice. Sailed with Robinson Crusoe off Tobago, and played beloved jazz in a Toni Morrison's Paradise. Paradise, paradise is powerful paragraphs, potential pressure that paralyzes. Prose, poetry, puns, promotes Pulitzer prizes. Pattern pencil in my palm, protect a princess in a palace. Stop and drink a spot of tea in Wonderland with Alice. I ate with kings, queens, lords, dukes, duchesses, and an earl. I told an artist formerly known as Prince to lose those diamonds and pearls. Somebody called me Tar Baby, but that name doesn't suit me. I transformed into a horse and they labeled me Black Beauty. Found divine justice in Nemesis. I flew off the wings of Pegasus, cured all the white man's fetishes on black man's premises. I horrified hypocrisies, downsized democracies, flipped all philosophies, installed by Socrates. I pulled the throttle and Aristotle had time to invent the wheel. Threw a bottle at Adonis the model while holding Achilles by his heel. You see, I never dreamed of the impossible dream, for I dream as far as the stars. I close my eyes with one thought, I can leap unto Mars. I wanted to go to Venus, but that's the land of the brave. They say the majority were women and all men were enslaved. Since there's too little room, I will have to harpoon unto Jupiter and cocoon around its 16 moons. I rode the rings of Saturn and swung by the Big Dipper. and came right back in time to give Cinderella her slipper. And meet all fans, I'm surfing seas over sinking sands, while I can walk on water holding my Creator's hand. Can this all be true? Or would you call this luck? Can all my dreams come true? Will I ever wake up? I said, how could this be? That when I close my eyes, I see my people who are mentally free. I see doctors and lawyers and businessmen on my family tree. I see my brothers not joining the army, but being all that they can be. Circling clouds and evading birds is the greatness that I see. Or is it just my imagination running away with me? Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give a... Okay. I just want to make one quick announcement and then I'm going. If anybody here would like to see Brother K.O. again, he's going to be doing a show at the New York Poets Cafe on March 13th. The show starts at 10 p.m. Tickets are $7 in advance and $10 at the door. And for those of you who would like to get more information, you can see me in the back. I'm going to leave one of these at the back also. So thank you again. Thank you both, Alphonse and K.O. Give them a warm welcome, applause again. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Tuhut Nine. And thank you, Brother Poets, with the power of the word. We're going to move very rapidly. We have just a couple other things that we're going to do before we bring up Dr. Ben. One of them, first of all, let me acknowledge those people who went to Bethany. We did have a good contingency at Bethany, I'm told. And so let's have the people who went to Bethany with Dr. Jones Sunday to stand. And we want to acknowledge you. Thank you. That's wonderful. And I understand that you were together just about the whole day. They left and then went to Brother Roy Cannon's wake. And so we're just glad that you represented UAM, and that is what we should be doing. Before we take up our offering, and that's coming after we have a very powerful brother, and you will understand why we have to give to one another. This month has been dedicated to slavery. Last month was dedicated to slavery. We ended last month by showing you a videotape that Frontline did on the Rwanda, the Hutu, and the Tutsi war tragedy, where over 1 million people, our brothers and sisters, killed themselves. The reason that we showed you that videotape was because Frontline told you up front that this confusion, that this carnage really was initiated by the Belgians when the Belgians colonized Rwanda. And they took and told the Tutsis that they were a superior race. And they worked with the Tutsis to execute their will in the area. So the Tutsis really were the house niggers at that time of the Belgians. And then when the revolution came, when colonization ended, the Hutus reversed the situation, and they ran the Tutsis, many of them out of the country. They went to Zaire and other places and formed the Rwanda Patriotic Front. And later in 1990, they invaded Rwanda. But what we have to see is that this is still initiating, coming out of the white man telling us who our enemies are. The white man shaping our minds. And until this day, as the Hutus and the Tutsis, in one of the most inhuman, brutal killings of ourselves in the history of African people, but it was initiated. Its roots were still in the Belgians. We were still executing the will of white people. And we are doing that today. That's why we had to do the series on slavery, because we are still treating each other and seeing each other through the eyes of the white man, as he has shaped and fashioned an image of us in our own eyes, and we don't know who we are. And we moved to that series, to this series with Dr. Ben, so that you will understand from where we came and how we must get on track and who we were before slavery. So I don't want to beg too much tonight. I want you to understand the meaning of what goes on here at UAM. It costs to produce these events every week. We haven't missed a week in 10 years. We have brought you people from all over the world. You do not pay to come here. The education you get here, you can't get in a university. These tapes are shown all over the world. Most of it pirated. We're going to have to do something about it. But they're still shown all over the world. And people are educated from these series. And you would be committing spiritual robbery if you did not do your part to see that these series go on. Brother Maddox, for the most part, has contributed out of his own pockets an unbelievable astronomical amount of money, because when it's short, he just put it in somehow, whatever he takes from wherever he can and makes it up. But we're going to ask you tonight to give, and to give liberally. Let us all stand, please. We want to start from my right, and want the brother in the back to lead everybody down and around. Yes, follow this gentleman from the back. On my right.
Baker, I read some of his books, but I never met him, so this is the first time I'm actually meeting the man, and I'm truly blessed and honored. Back in October of 1998, my partner, Heru, we put together a tribute to 7 leaders. Symbolically, seven leaders who passed away and 7 leaders who are still present with us, because we were inspired after the Million Youth March, and we wanted to tribute these leaders because they have done so much for us, and it's only right to display the inspiration and make it manifest that as young people we want to get involved and we want to do something too. We just don't want to be stigmatized by what the media or what everybody else thinks of us. So Dr. Ben, I make this tribute to you. Youths inspired make a difference. Present this award to Dr. Yosef Ben-Jochannan for your unrelenting, uncompromising commitment to the cause. From you, I accept the torch. I will run with it until the time comes to pass it down. I pledge to be true to my ancestral legacy, moving the movement forward with the Creator as my protection. In this dedication, I latch on to my generational reflection. Sponsored by Sun Ra Sun, coordinated by Turtnan and Heru. Dr. Ben.
I was going to speak on so many other things when I got here. I was going to speak on this and that and the other thing. But when I got here, I decided to speak on Egypt. I want to speak on Egypt by name, which is an improper name. And I know that we have been using the word Kemet for some reason. I'm going to hold it back. And Kemet is the nearest thing we seem to be getting to Egypt, but I have not found any justification for the word Kemet. Tamari, yes. Tamari, I find that in Egyptian literature. But then again, it isn't everything we do that we have justification for doing. It pleases us, and then we do it for such a reason. For instance, this winter, I went back to visit Kemet, as the others say. But I went back to visit Ta-Meri. Tanubia is just south of us. That's Nubia, which is called Sudan. And so I found that we need to call things by their names so that we would remember them. Talking about Tamari, when you speak about Tamari, they have since modernized the first Holy Land, and I'm speaking about Abydos. Abydos, where the place 4,000 years before Mary, 4,000 years before there was a Mary and a Joseph. It is taught there that a woman named Aset, you call her Isis, became pregnant for a man by name Asar, you call him Osiris, and she gave birth to a baby child by the name of Heru, you call him Horus. That was the first virgin birth. I got to repeat that again. Sunday I noticed that the churches were full with people. They were going to a Christian ceremony. But long before there was anybody named Christ, before an African society adopted Christ, and I'm going to say I could tell you because before one European was practicing Christianity, Azania of Ethiopia, Emperor Azania, made Christianity the official religion of Ethiopia. Egypt, where it started, had came to Ethiopia to get converts. But when he converted to Christianity, he made Christianity the official religion of his power. And therefore Christianity became, in Ethiopia, the first place that had a church. I know many of you are going to feel it hard because it doesn't have a white source. And that makes you feel rather disappointed. But that's the history. In Egypt, when you speak about history, they're making all kinds of changes. We went there and found up to January the 4th, the new museum built in Nubia. The new museum was supposed to be adapted to suit the conditions of modern Nubia. I must not tell you that they're disappointed with the new museum because it doesn't show us anything of the past. It is a new museum designed to one thing, strengthen the support of Islam. What we need in Africa, or what we call Africa, in ancient times it was called Al-Kebulan, after it was called Kortia, and various other names, Ortegia, Libya, other names. Just as so, we notice that ancient Tamari had brought to the world, like now they're showing in a piece of article I got recently, and they ask that it is no wondrous that ancient Nubia presented mankind with the oldest piece of writing. It wasn't surprising to me, because digging in Egypt for 50 years had brought along certain material that you couldn't bring it to the forward, you couldn't bring it to the public, because the people you had to fight most were Africans. Why Africans? When we had to fight, and we had to fight to get the material to a committee in college, the one who gives you the biggest fight is the man from Africa and the college. I had some situations, and I'm sorry I had them, but then I have to have them. It was my own person. In December last year, I decided to go again to Egypt. And there were certain things that I needed to complete it. And when I got a group of people who were willing to go, Dr. Lewis and his family and other members, they told me that they heard that Abydos had still not reopened. I thought that was very bad. And then I remember that I had a stroke. They said that a person having 4 strokes, that's the most they're allowed to use. But I had 6. Last stroke was the only stroke I had when I couldn't speak. All the other strokes, I had them, my left side went out, and I was able to use my right side. But this time I wasn't able to use any side. But what bothered me most of all, it was worse than the stroke alone. I lost the use of my mind. I lie down in the daytime, watch myself, and all I could do is watch myself. I didn't know who I was, where I was, and nothing at all. One day my wife came into the house, and she asked me who she was. And I asked her who she was. And she told me who she was, but didn't penetrate. I didn't realize that this young lady I knew when I was a youngster, about 8 years old. That time I was in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I saw my aunt's relative came to visit me, and my mother and all of them were born in Puerto Rico. And I still couldn't remember. I remember a lot of the homes at random. And I decided then I've got to go to Puerto Rico. My family said, I can't go anywhere. I said, I got to go to St. Quirks also. And my family went all over to stop me from going to the Caribbean. I said, if I got to run out of this house one of these nights, I am going to the Virgin Islands, and I'm going to Puerto Rico. I paid the airplane fare, and I went on down to Puerto Rico. Nobody but me. I arrived in Fajardo, and I went right to the place where I grew up as a little boy. And I saw my aunt's people. And when I said good day, they were quite surprised to find me sitting on a ramp there in Puerto Rico. But Puerto Rico had changed so much. So many other things had happened, but they're all for the interests of America. If you say, if I tell you, John Clark left me with a legacy. John Clark reminded me that I had a lot of works to do that I had not completed yet. And I had to do it for my people. But who is my people? My people did not come from Tortola, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Cuba, you name it. My people came from everywhere a black man lives. We have a certain thing I heard quite often. A black man is angry. I realize you could be angry because his job is threatened. And then he said, you people, any group, come here to take away our job. I wonder what job the black man got. You've got a job that doesn't pay any money. You can have that any time. We cannot tell anyone, none of us, no one in this place can tell anyone his qualification as being high, not from Africa. A young man named Compton just passed away the other day. We buried him Monday. You should have been there to hear what he meant by anyone. I am most happy that I have lost. I think I had the preparation to be most anything I wanted to be as far as money is concerned. I remember when working for a company, Standard Oil, when Nelson Rockefeller came at that time, I refused to go to Venezuela. It would have been a very lucrative job. But then I realized that the people in Venezuela did not own 1 barrel of the oil that was stored there. And Rockefeller owned most of the oil and others. He didn't work it. He owned it because he had the power. Men can kill, and they do kill, including being in the ministry, rabbis, priests, ministers, you name it, and they kill. Thou shalt not kill is a joke. They kill all the time, and they pray all the time. Nobody's going to like my position because I say this. And I spoke extensively of a black woman at where heaven is. My mother got heaven when she was around. Your mother has heaven, your wife, girlfriend, or what the case may be. And I spoke to recognize my people, to recognize the black woman. If there's a goddess, it isn't Mary, it's your wife.
Yes, yes.
The woman you go to bed with. You go to bed with a woman and forget her. Then you go to, you get a woman who you have never touched, never gone with, never done anything for you. And then you praise the other woman and leave your woman out. One thing why we are down, I found, not because we were down when they came and got us. When they came and got us, we were up. We were resisting. We were fighting. We have built Egypt. We built Libya. All those places, Ethiopia, Sudan, all those places we had built already. And they hadn't built Rome. They hadn't built Greece. And we stood up against all the forces. When we were fighting for our integrity, they had even little Switzerland, land blocked Switzerland, join Denmark in the colonialist expansion to make us come down. Nobody comes to get a place if there is nothing sweet to get. You don't go to land unless there is sweet. People, you feel Europeans came to Africa because Africa was bad? Because you were bad, we tell each other. They came to Africa because we had something. They came to Africa to find Imhotep. And what Imhotep was doing there. They came to find other men who were doing all kinds of engineering and culture and everything else. Even they came to Africa to be at Warit. We call Warit Karnak. They came to Africa to be at Waset. We call Waset Luxor. And what do they do in Warit and Waset? 2.5 miles away. You walk through those two sets of you call it Sphinx, like trying to take a canoe. You walk through those two sets of canoe, and you walk in the same line that you have the cow festival, where the Africans more than 3,000 years ago will conduct a marriage ceremony in memory of Asavu and Aset. You call her Isis and Osiris. Now today, we make fun of those religions. Today we do not take them seriously. But if we should take what we have seriously, as serious as we do white things, we cannot fail. You cannot fail because we're using the same hands, the same minds to do the work. If we could do so much for the white man, our boss, we can do a lot for the black woman. Saying that I've been wrong 80s and knocked the 80 pretty hard, and to catch it was quite a job, and it left me a little broken, not broken, a little broken. But being alive today, I know what it is. I felt myself being unable to do things that I'm accustomed to do so well. I felt myself needing to do things that I have done so well. You must understand how I feel. Being in the 80s, called an old man now, and not being able to do what I feel I can do makes very heavy. You never feel like you've done enough for your people, and you have never done enough. Your people, until they can remove themselves from the oppression by others, will always stay on your mind. I went downtown to the Young People March when they had the Young Black Fellows March one Saturday. Million Youth. But I noticed there, you did not go for million youth. You went for a certain amount of youth. They had to be either Christian, Muslim, or Christian, Christian, Muslim, or others. But there are hundreds of religions, African religions. Yorubas, for instance, Olodumare, God like that. You hadn't contemplated a place for them. But even look at us here tonight. Have you contemplated a goddess? You haven't spoke about a goddess for a long time. Why? Who told you there's no goddess? If there's no goddess, there's no gods. Adam couldn't get pregnant by himself. Otherwise, he was the first faggot that lived. Anytime I talk about woman with anything related to pregnancy, I am talking about a man. And anytime about a man in relation to pregnancy, I'm talking about a woman. It takes two to produce a child, a man and a woman. And I don't care what your religion says. Your religion is garbage. It's garbage when you don't realize none of you, not one of you, could show me your God. So since you believe in God, you have never seen him, no more than I've seen him, then there's justifiable reason why we can get together, continue to believe in your God, but continue to recognize that whatever I believe is just as good as your belief. Because don't care how hard you pray for something, it doesn't happen. If you ask God for a dime or $100, you're not going to get it. You got to get it by money coming from yourself or somebody else next to you. Even if you bang somebody in the head, you're going to get it, but you're not going to get God give you $1. There's some realistic things that we got to deal with. And the more we try to deal with realism, the more we will solve our problem. I am doing a book on Egypt. I have 3 books ready for the publisher. And the 3 of them of Egypt. I don't do any work, it seems as if, with Egypt. And that will be that's my 41st book. I'm doing the 42nd book. But I could never stop doing on Egypt. Because you see, money doesn't have value. It's hard to say that, and I work for money. Money loses its value when something else is better than money. If you put that money is supposed to buy something, then that thing is better than money, because money is being used to receive the thing. People, human beings, male and female, for me, is greater than money. I look every day. Islam produced certain African, Christianity produced certain, Judaism produced, and so forth. And then we go to the Yoruba, even in southern tip of Africa, Unkulunku produced somebody. But we never hear these Unkulunku Ngai. These are African religions. African religion older than Christianity, older than Islam, older than Hebrew religion, belonging to us. We made them before we got smart. And we didn't continue. If we continue them today, we would have been smart. We would have been up there because we would have been more united. But I have faith. Faith that we are going to rule the world again. In 711 of the Christian era, which we call AD, the Moros left Africa, North Africa, and we went into Spain. We captured Muscat. And then we made a terrible mistake. We allowed the Arabs to come in there with us, to join in the control of Spain. And before we got out, we had built Spain's first university, Europe's first university, University of Salamanca. That same university was used by the Berlin Conference to assist taking away our name, to make laws against alcohol, to do anything they felt was necessary to keep us down. We turned against weapons. We said we would not kill. There were weapons used against us. People killed us. People are killing us indiscriminately now. And we do not know that we were enslaved, and we are still dressed up slaves. It's a hard thing to deal with yourself in a condemnation proceeding. To tell yourself you're wrong, I condemn you to a certain life, and then yourself to take it and live with it is a very difficult thing. But it's a true thing. We've got to pick up ourselves from where we are. Pick up ourselves, a little child, over here, over there, a little boy, a little girl, and treat them accordingly, because we can't forget they are ours. And when the name Jochannan, Yosef, Alfredo, all those names belonging to Puerto Ricans, Spaniards and Germans and all these kind of things, becomes better than an African name. And I think they're better. I'm in a sick position. When I have to depend upon a foreign source to recognize myself, I'm in a sick position. When they use Garvey name, I remember when I was a little boy, a teenage boy in Puerto Rico at the time. I had already gone from St. Croix down to Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, when Mr. Garvey's name was called, Alviso Campo used to represent him. And it was then talking about Pan Tierra y Libertad, bread, land, and liberty. 20,000 Puerto Rican students decided to take on the Talbot destroyer and the Texas. 20,000 Puerto Rican students. All of us in black shirts. Well, you know there was no fight because we had more ambition than we had reality. But one thing we learned from it, when you are willing to stand up for what you want You have strength you never knew you had. That's why I said, I'm going to live until I die. Because there could always be some time when I may make a change. And until the end, I will not say it's enough. I will say wait until tomorrow. When I can't tell you about my love for tomorrow, that means my love for my people, then I'm really gone. I wish it was possible that I had accumulated a lot, and I could have accumulated a lot. I made a lot. But I've got 19 children. Oh yes, it didn't matter me which child was mine from my seed. It didn't matter me which vagina she came from. Right now, I've got little children who call me their father, and I don't even know their mother more than Adam and Eve. But there are little black children who depend on me, and I still on them. There are little black children out there who need help and need it fast. And if we don't grab those children and give them the kind of direction that they need, it's going to be very bad for us. Brother Canton, and I say that with a great amount of humility. When last I saw Brother Canton, he had looked to me like a powerful giant. Then I saw him Monday. He was the powerful giant sitting there, still, can't do anything in all his strength. But there's one thing I knew about Canton, what he could do for his people, he did. There was no question about that. I am not a man full of whatever I used to have, but I understood that in July there would be a trip going to Egypt, and I planned to be on that. Canton been to Egypt. I know it because I took him there. And Canton made a pledge when he was in Egypt, which I lived to see almost everything he said. He was a man that didn't flinch a day. He spoke what he felt to the Board of Education. He never backed up a step. He always went forward. He made me and others know how proud it is to be Mrs. Garvey, though dead. Because when you think on what he did and think back on Mrs. Garvey, you must thank her like you would thank any of the women here for that day she gave birth to him. And I'm going to say something today. It's going to frustrate a lot of men. Until such time as we realize that the woman is the backbone of the family. Now let me say this. You could get a man and the child would be born. You can get a man to go any way and the child will be taken care of. But what man is going to get the child? So when we're talking this big talk about following the European with his nonsense, you must forget that in Africa that most homes raise the child. And it's a woman that is the one that raised you. But prejudice of the man, our fear brought us this. Adam and Eve. How Adam, he get pregnant for himself? And no Eve. And then you go on with Eve and tell the family, I don't understand. Because I don't understand, I ask these questions. They're questions that I have to answer to satisfy my living. And I don't understand it. So I bring it to you for you to understand how I suffer. But I don't have to suffer as long as you with me. I'm going to be lastly grateful. You see, when I was sick, as I said, I was more sick than now, I wanted to be comforted. I wanted to be comforted in my mind. I wanted to know whether or not somebody would tell me something that will soothe me. And everything I heard is what America is going to do for me. What Germany doing for me, France doing for me, all the Western European countries, plus the suit I had on, everything Western, including the suit I got on. There was nothing I could hold and squeeze and said, this is mine, it come from an African country. Even the Caribbeans were anywhere. Everything I hold come from a European. Touch yourself. Look at yourself. What do you have that is not European? Everything we own. Even ourselves are Europeans. And we model ourselves that. One time we had a group of girls called Grandiosa Models. Brother Bratt had them. And they dressed up like Africans and were proud of it. And we, down there by 125th Street and all over Harlem, used to brag about our Grandiosa model. Today, the same women are dressed up, but they don't have African clothes on because, for some reason, African clothes, though it protect them, though it cover their nakedness, it isn't swarthy enough. So I got to say, I am glad that my mother clothed herself enough that a man had to respect her. When he went to her to have interrelations with her, he first knew he had to respect her because the way she dressed as a woman. And I am saying, that's one thing about respect about Islam. The women are properly dressed. I'm asking us, can't we develop a code of ethics that everyone must respect? It can be an African woman in charge, an African man, or both. But there've got to be certain things we produce and do not have to beg anyone about it. then and then. A man said, when you can show me what you do, because you're an African, nothing else, then and only then I would say, as Garvey said, lift up and rise up, ye mighty race. And you're a mighty race. Why can't you be powerful again? If I could see this one day, I would be ready to go. I'll be ready to go because I know that Africa is still safe. Africa is still free. Africa is going to be freer yet. My brothers and my sisters, I thought that I would say a few words to you, and I couldn't think of anything other than that. Brother Maddox is away. I guess that he's a dutiful son is putting a dutiful father to sleep. It is hard to have that task. It is worse to put your daughter or son away like I had to. But regardless of what, if all of us could adopt a child, even if to help a child, today, tomorrow, we will have to win the war. So until another time, when I can come to you, if I can come to you, I will always believe in you. I believe in you in the past. I believe in you when I was born from a mother in good old Africa, Ethiopia. I believe in you in the Virgin Islands, St. Croix. I believe in you in Puerto Rico, Fajardo. And I am still believing in you. One day, I hope that I have the pleasure for John Clark, Malcolm X, Brother Canton, all the African specialists of old who wrote that many of us would learn about ourselves. I think that J.A. Rogers and such men, they wrote because their love for you. The pencil, right now, when I hold my pencil to write, sometimes I got to stop. My hands get tight and tired. And it bothers me. But it's part of the growing old. I say, my brothers and sisters, God, and I'm using that in the general term, and His goddess is happy they had the privilege of knowing you.
Let's have it again for Dr. Ben. Thank you. Brothers and sisters, we want to ask you to hold hands. We're going to leave together. We're going to leave together. Everybody hold hands. The calendar, the UAM Black Facts calendar is in the back. Those of you who have ordered that calendar, you can pick it up tonight. The calendar is $15 for those who would like to purchase it. The funds for this calendar go to the UAM summer retreat for the children, the summer camp. So pick up one. It's a wonderful camp. We have some fruit up here, and Brother Herbie, we want to thank you for your diligence and the way you every week go and get the fruit and bring it. And the fruit is for you. When you leave, we want to share. The fruit is like sharing something together. So we bring it so we can break bread together. So come and take a piece of this fruit and keep Brother Maddox and his family in your prayers. We're an African people, robbed, stolen from our homelands, robbed of our culture, our names, our heritage, the great things we have done. But we're an African people, a real African people. And we're going to rise. We are rising. Never again to be defeated. Up, you mighty people. You can accomplish what you will. No justice, no justice, no peace. Good night.